I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another review. There's another request, this time for John Zero Cool. Thank you so much for that. Like I've said with my requests, it could be a review, re-review, movie topic in general, reaction, or pretty much anything, including here it's a list. For those who are interested, you send in requests either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And John wanted me to talk about my top 11 favorite John Carpenter films, which made sense because it is October. John Carpenter is my favorite director. I love John Carpenter and then some. I mean, I love that he really makes the films his own. He gives a certain mood, a certain atmosphere, a certain anti-hero quality to a lot of his characters, certain toughness to them, their style, but not too stylized. For the most part, he's utilizes practical effects. I love John Carpenter, and there's not many of his films I dislike. I mean, there's The Ward, which I'm not a fan of. There's Dark Star, but you know, that was his first like student film. But if all the directors look at their filmographies, John Carpenter is one of the ones that has, for me, the best batting average. And I wasn't sure. I'd probably start, different. Start with number one. Why not? My favorite John Carpenter film is The Thing, which bombed because of audiences didn't like the tone of the film. They wanted a more happy movie, so they loved E.T. Which, funny enough, nowadays seems like more people are for The Thing than E.T. You don't have a lot of people doing their first time reacting to E.T., but you'll find a lot of people about their first time reacting to The Thing. You look up first time reaction The Thing, you find a couple videos of that. And like E.T. was the biggest film of its time. Not many people talk about E.T. But you talk about John Carpenter's The Thing, they go, oh yeah, I love The Thing. My thing, your thing, that thing. But great idea based on a short story, Who Goes There. I even like the 50s The Thing from Another World, which is very different than this. I mean, they both have a bunch of guys, although that film has a girl or two and takes place in the snow, but the monster is very different. That's more of a Frankenstein monster type, sort of a what they call a carrot. At least that's what his nickname. It's not an actual carrot, but that's one of the things they talk about in that. But I do like that movie. But this one, the paranoia, the suspense, who's really who can I trust you, how perfectly does the thing replicate, does it replicate something so perfectly that even itself won't know it's a thing or not. And the cast, Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, Keith David, T.K. Carter, Donald Moffat, a wonderful cast of people, all doing their jobs well. You have Great score by Ennio Morricone that has a very creepy factor to it. Beautiful cinematography by Dean Cundey. The lush landscape of the snow. You feel the isolation. You feel the dread. And of course the exceptional special effects by Rob Bottin. I mean, when I think of horror film, The Thing is a great... You want a definition in the dictionary? Put the poster of The Thing. It's a great example of what a horror film is, and checks all the boxes. There's even some fun bits of levity and humor. I don't want to spend the rest of the winter tied to this fucking couch. So I love The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. Sad that what it came... See, that's why people nowadays, they go, well, Rotten Tomatoes says this, and IMDb says that, which, granted, I do the same just for shits and giggles. But other people really hone in on, well, you can't dislike this, or you can't like this, but look at the rating of Rotten Tomatoes. And I always go, what do you think, if there was a Rotten Tomatoes back in 1982, what do you think The Thing would get? It would get like a 20% or 11% with how many people hated it. Not just hated it, despised it, the critics. So, like, people forget stuff like that. What do you think about it? Number 2, Big Trouble in Little China. Big Trouble in Little China is one of those films, anytime I watch it, and this is weird to say, but anytime I watch it, I'm always sad when it's over. Because I loved the experience so much. I loved these characters so much. I loved the characters of Jack Burton and Wayne and Ade Shin, that I wanted to see more adventures. Yeah, there's comic books. Some of them are not so good, honestly. At least some of the ones I read. But whether it be another live action film or a cartoon, which that would have been fun in the 80s, a cartoon of Big Trouble in Little China, but the film came out, it bombed. 20th Century Fox did not do well with the marketing. No one went to see it. Came out in one of the best years for movies, in my opinion, 1986, because you had Aliens and The Fly and The Golden Child and Cobra, and you had... when I looked at that year, I'm like, wow, there's so many films that came out this year that I absolutely love, including this one. It has a great mix of kung fu and comedy and fantasy, and it was original, it was interesting, it was... And when I say original, compared to the American films coming out at that time, it was rather unique. Kurt Russell's character playing a John Wayne type of guy who's cocky, he thinks he knows everything, but really he's the sidekick of his own story, and the other guy, Wayne, is really the lead hero of the story. Like, that was a nice, smart way of switching that up, but making it clever. And just so many quotable... Have you paid your dues check? Yes, sir, the check is in the mail. We really shook the pillars of heaven, didn't we, Wayne? If we're not back by dawn, call the president. It just... Such a fun, interesting character. And then you got Victor Wan, you got James Hahn, you got all these other great supporting actors, you got sorcery, you got all kinds of creatures. Even creatures that are on screen for... when they're underground in sewer, and there's this one cool looking creature, you only see it for like 10 seconds. Comes out, grabs someone. What is that creature? What does that creature do? We've never seen that creature before. Never seen that creature again. Love the look of it. So cool. That's some of this people built for this one little scene. There's a lot of effort put into this. There's some fun martial arts. Starts out more in the real world, and as the movie goes on, gets more and more fanciful, to the point by the end people are flying through the air doing sword fights. My only issue is the very end that kind of sets up for a sequel, even though John Carpenter said it wasn't, but still, I wish there was a sequel. I love the music. I love the song at the end. People make fun of the song that John Carpenter and his group sing, Run into the distant night. Big trouble in Little China. Nah. I love that film. So much fun. Number 3, I saw in Precinct 13, the original. Great. It's always weird though when you watch the film. It's not actually at Precinct 13. I think it's at like Precinct 9 Division 13. Which made me go, well, once you got the title, why don't you just change that? Because it's on the radio. Just change the dialogue. Just have someone add in a new line at, Division 9 Precinct 13. Like, it's always a little weird thing. It's like a little nitpick. And again, it could be an easy fix. Just, I think the only time you hear that is on that radio. Just dub in a different line. I mean, but whatever. I love, once again, the characters. You have Austin Stoker as the lead, and then you have the character Napoleon, the criminal, and you never quite know what Napoleon is for, but he always keeps saying that he'll explain it. And so yeah, he's a criminal, but he's got a certain honor, certain something more to him. It was an interesting idea, like cops and crooks working together while this, which I think one of the many reasons why the remake failed is they gave a face, they gave a story, they gave a voice, they gave all this stuff to the villains. It's the dirty cops, they're coming in. And to me, that takes away any of the suspense or fear factor. And not the show with Joe Rogan. Because with the original, all these faceless people, you don't know how many there are, you don't know when it'll stop. It's like, okay, for this one thing, some of them don't even know why this is going on. We know, because a little girl got killed, which is pretty damn shocking for the time. It's like almost like a zombie movie. They just keep coming, and you have plenty of firepower and gunplay because of that. And whether it be pistols or rifles or shotguns. At the score, it's exceptional. One of my favorite John Carpenter scores. Great gritty mood and tone to it. And again, you do have some fun moments of levity. You have the guy who, I forget, Tony. His first name is Tony. He would actually be in the Rocky films. He was Apollo Creed's manager. Then later on, Rocky's manager for Rocky 4 and such. And he was a lot of fun. I got a new plan called Save Ass. We go out the window and we run like a son of a bitch. Why don't we flip a coin? Shit. Hey, we haven't even flipped the coin yet. I'm gonna lose. How did he word it? Like, you're really negative, man. I always lose. I fucked up the dialogue, but so I don't know it verbatim. Sorry. Just a very action-packed with it has a great moody horror feel, but at the same time it's an action film. It's an ode to westerns like Rio Bravo back in the day. Again, the cast work well. Again, I keep repeating this in videos when people say there's never any strong women back in the day. There's a woman who gets shot in the arm and she doesn't freak out. She's like, fuck, She got shot in the arm, she just bandaged up, she still keeps fighting. And she's the one who survives. The one who's freaking out and weeping, she's the one who gets herself killed. The strong woman stands her ground, she survives. And lo and behold, who's the lead? A black man. And they don't put any stupid politics. There's no other big deal. It's just the lead happens to be black. And that's what it is. He just happens to be black. But it's not what defines him. What defines him is that he's a cop who's trying to do the right thing and trying to figure out how to get out of this crazy situation. And he stands his ground and gets the idea to get the crooks out. And there you go. Which I find funny because I think that's pretty damn progressive. And then they did the remake, and what happened? The hero became the white guy and the villain became the black guy. I'm like, of all the things that changed in Assault on Precinct 13, okay. But I mean, that remake, It's not the worst remake ever, but it's just, I'm watching, I'm going, why? Why? You don't have much interest. It's a good looking film. I'll say, I'll at least say that for the remake. The director gathers some nice looking cinematography, and the fact he's placed in the snow was a nice idea. But anyway, it's not the worst remake, to be fair. It's not the Fog remake or anything, but still, I just kind of sitting there going, maybe at best is a time waster, but it's just, why don't I just watch the original, which I think is a classic. Number 4 is They Live. Roddy Piper, may he rest in peace. I love that he got to be the lead in this as Nada. Sadly, a lot of the stuff going on in that film you could see in today's age. Put on your sunglasses, see all the fake bullshit. And it was such a cool idea, putting these sunglasses on. You see all the hidden signals, and you see the truth of the matter. And such a simple but cool idea. And about consumerism and about how you're lied to by your government, which not much has changed. He who has the gold makes the rules. And then The Imperative by Keith David, who was in John Carpenter's The Thing, and they worked well together. They had one of the massive big fist fights in movie history that was so memorable that even South Park mimicked that whole fight. The look of the aliens I thought was cool, because it's alien, but it's a skull-like feature too. My only nitpick, I hate that the ending bothers me, because, well, if you haven't seen They Live, it's spoilers. I don't like the way Keith David got took out. I thought that was really lame. And then Roddy Piper gets shot, but at the very least he does give a middle finger, so like at least a last fuck you. But still, it's like, well, you know what, you killed off Keith David, you didn't have to kill off Roddy Piper either. But if there's something I would change, I would not kill off the two leads. I would have them live. Maybe they have to be on the run or something else, but I would have them live. Hell, They Live. There you go. Didn't even think of that. The title, I would let them live. They lived. That's the sequel. They lived. But yeah, really solid film. Number 5, Escape from New York. It's funny, back in the day, I saw Escape from LA first, and then when I saw Escape from New York, and years after, I would say I liked Escape from LA more than Escape from New York because I saw Escape from LA first. I still like Escape from LA, but when I saw Escape from New York, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of similar stuff. These are kind of the same films, but that's not Escape from New York's fault, because that came first. As time has gone on, that's switched, where watching them back to back, I do think Escape from New York is the better movie, because Escape from LA, which is on the list because I like the film, the CGI hampers it quite a bit. The villain is not that good. Here, Isaac Hayes, I liked him as the villain. The effects has that 80s charm to it, and it's a lot more practical, and the down and dirty streets of New York, and the supporting cast. You got Harry Dean Stanton and Ernest Borgnine, Adrienne Barbeau. The score is well done. Like, Caruso does stuff in Escape from LA. I don't know, it feels... Maybe they do... I was going to say, it feels like he does a bit more in the original, but now that I think about it, they probably do the same amount of business. It's just when you compare and contrast, like, okay, one film, the big thing is a basketball game. Here, it's a gladiator battle with this big guy who I think was a wrestler, and puts a fucking spike right in his head. And then you got Donald Pleasance as the president, which I didn't mind the guy who played the president, Stephen Miller, but Donald Pleasance, He was a lot of fun. You're the Duke. You're the Duke. You're A number one. Down. I mean, it always did bother me with Stephen New York, though, is I thought the poster image would be in the movie. So when I first saw the film and I saw the cover, I thought that was going to be the finale. I thought the finale would be this firefight amongst this Statue of Liberty head that was on the ground. And when that never happened, and in fact, early on, there's a shot like, wait a minute, Statue of Liberty's head is, it's fine. What the fuck? Oh, maybe, you know, somehow the, no, it was just a fucking lie. So I'm like, oh fuck, man. But yeah, that's not the movie's fault. That it's a good poster. It just fucking lies to you, but it's a good poster. But yeah, I love it's Stephen New York. Kurt Russell does a wonderful job as Steve Plisted. Call me Snake. You got Lee Van Cleef, which made sense as to why Kurt Russell's doing a little bit of a Clint Eastwood accent, since it's across from Lee Van Cleef. And I thought Kurt Russell did a great job. Great look to him with the eye patch, and he's throwing stars to go into people's foreheads, and you have the bridge and the minefield on the bridge. That's a cool idea. Once again, the score, like many of these films, the score is very well done. Music is an important part of a film. That's what people don't realize. The music can really bring up the emotion or tension or suspense or adrenaline of a sequence. I think there's a lot of films, a lot of people in today's age that, there are exceptions. There are people that do know that and do utilize that fairly well. VFW, for example, the score was pretty good. That came out this year. But a lot of times people kind of either don't pay as much attention as they should or kind of half-ass it. Be it John Carpenter or even people he did, like the Ennio Morricone who did The Thing, among others. They worked very well. They fit the films very well. Number 6, In the Mouth of Madness. I quite enjoy the film. I saw it on VHS back in the day, and I always loved the idea. Lived any good books lately? I love the idea of what if somehow you were sucked into the book, the novel, the ideas of this horror author, to the point of, wait a minute, am I real or am I part of a character in this book? Was I ever real? Was the whole time I was part of this book? And the Sutter Kane, the Stephen King type of thing, author, he's like a god now, and he can like create the world with his pages, and he did a bit of that H.P. Lovecraft notion and feel to it. Sam Neill gives, I think, one of his best performances. You have some crazy effects by KMB, like the old woman that's all fucked up and has her husband chained up and is chopping him up to pieces, and a lot of cool sequences, a lot of cool ideas. The bit where, I really like the color blue, that scene, and that hallway. And sadly, you don't see them a lot, but you have these really cool looking creatures in this hallway. That if you watch the behind the scenes on, if you have the Blu-ray, they show a bit more and they look really cool. It makes you wonder why they were not shown more in the film. And John Carpenter is one of those guys that, even though quite a few of his films kind of have a bummer ending, I do think John Carpenter knows how to do that well. They seem on point. They seem, for the most part, not too much of a sucker punch. Like The Thing, it's a question mark. Are you the Thing? Are you not? Are you human? Are you not? In the Mouth of Madness, I mean, yeah, he may be crazy, but he seems to be having fun and laughing. So he seems to be enjoying himself, at least. Prince of Darkness. Again, there's a question mark to it. So, In the Mouth of Madness, I think, I would say is one of John Carpenter's more underrated films. Number 7 is Steve from L.A. I saw this way back in the day. I don't think I saw it in the theater, but I saw it, I think, around when it first came on VHS. And I didn't even know it was a sequel. I knew who Kurt Russell was because I had seen films like Tango and Cash. I'm like, oh, cool, Kurt Russell. And Steve from L.A. I did not even know it was a sequel. So it was my first time watching Stay Plisted. I thought, wow, this guy's badass. And yeah, I mean, the CGI's not that good in it. But what he's doing in L.A. and I like the music in the film. I think Shirley Walker had a hand in it. I love the opening theme. The opening theme of Steve from L.A. I think is fantastic. And you have people like Peter Fonda and Steve Buscemi and Pam Grier and Bruce Campbell. That was an interesting idea. The whole Beverly Hills, the plastic surgeon. That was an interesting idea. I love the song by White Zombie called One. Run, baby, run away. Run, baby, run. It's Steve from L.A. I think the ending is great, where the government is such in turmoil, the world is in such turmoil, they try to fuck him over and shoot him, and he fucks up the world, takes away their power. The name's Plisted. And then he lights it up. Welcome to the human race. I thought, oh wow, that's a badass motherfucker there. You know, took us right to the Wild West. Which, in that case, made sense with how the world just was eating their own, and give them a bit fuck you, why not? I mean, yeah, the film itself, the effects are not good. Some of the stuff, you do wonder why they just did a repeat of the first film. That's why with the Blu-ray, I was so disappointed that there's no Kurt Russell and there's no John Carpenter, no interviews, no commentary. I mean, you could do it via this, you could do it via Zoom, you could do it via online. They've done that many times on stuff. Hell, they do that for free on YouTube when Josh Gad or Scott Adkins, all these people, they interview all these other people via online. Like, that's the film no one ever asked them about. People always ask John Carpenter about Halloween, but I want to hear about Steve from L.A. What was the idea behind it? What was the idea of doing the same but different? Why you did commentaries for The Thing, Big Trouble, Steve New York? Why not this one? I don't understand. Don't understand it. But it is what it is. But that's the Steve from L.A. Number 8, The Fog. The original The Fog. I enjoy the ghost story aspect. I love the look of The Fog. I think it looks cool and gloomy and creepy. It gives off a nice atmosphere to it. And another good cast. Jamie Lee Curtis. You got... oh my god, I cannot believe I forgot his name. Night of the Creeps. Why am I not remembering his name? My god. I know his name. What the fuck? I'm gonna be so mad at myself that I cannot remember his name. You got Curtis, you got her mom, Janet Leigh, you got Hal Holbrook, Tom Atkins. How can I remember that? Tom Atkins, you got Adrienne Barbeau. You have a great cast. To me, it's one of my favorite ghost story films. I love the setup, the mythology, the whole, the people were going from point A to point B on this boat, but they were lepers, and the town didn't want them, so they made them crash and sink. And now it's like 100 years later, they want their revenge. I love the look of the ghosts and how the fog really amps up the atmosphere. And then you see these figures, and I thought John Carpenter did a great job directing that. And that's another film that has a great score to it. The cast, the gloom and doom atmosphere, the look of the fog, I think, is really cool. And then they tried to fucking CGI it in the remake, and it looks like fucking ridiculous shit. But here it looked great. Well, I really enjoy The Fog. Like I said, it's one of my favorite ghost story films. Number 9, Prince of Darkness. Prince of Darkness, I always remember the cover for it being like, hey, this is a weird VHS cover, but it always stuck out. I remember seeing it from back in the day, and I think it has one of John Carpenter's, I would say one of John Carpenter's better, more underrated musical scores. And the whole idea and theme of the film is kind of interesting and different, where you have this liquid, but okay, it's Satan. I think I was a bit confused back in the day because I thought the liquid was the Antichrist, and then over in the other world was Satan. But then I'm like, well, no, wait a minute. They're saying that this is Satan, but there's actually a higher thing than Satan. At least this is what I gather. There's an anti-God, which I never really heard it put that way, that, you know, Satan in the form of trying to look at it on a more science status. And then this liquid possesses people, and that the mirror image, the anti-God. I don't know, the plot was a little bit confusing. Maybe still confusing to me to this day. But at the same time, like, okay, this is interesting, bit unique and different. And once again, I like the cast. You got Dennis Dunn, who was in Big Trouble in Little China, and also Victor Wan. I actually didn't mind the lead guy. The lead guy, I think it was Jameson Parker. Could be wrong on that name. I thought he did fine in the lead. The rest of the people did good job. Yeah, Alice Cooper as a really creepy bum. You get some violent death scenes because of him and his cronies. These other homeless people that kind of stand around this church so they can't get out. And once again, it has one of those endings that makes you wonder, like a question mark. I thought it ended rather well, where it's going close to the mirror, and before it touches, cuts away. See, that's a movie that makes you think. See, like I said, John Carpenter knows how to handle that well. And again, while the plot, I think maybe could have been a little less confusing, a little bit too much techno-babble. Maybe that's why it got me confused. But I mean, it's cool to see people like Donald Pleasance in there. It was a nice, different take on the whole devil-Satan thing. It's unique. Can't think of a film before or since that did it that way, so it makes it stand out a bit. You get a little bit of a Saw in Precinct 13 vibe because they're all stuck in this church and they can't get out, and there's all these figures outside blocking them in. But yeah, I quite enjoy Prince of Darkness. It has a good eerie mood to it. Number 10, Starman. I just think it's a sweet love story that he did because people were pissed that he did the thing and E.T. swallowed that movie up. And so John Carpenter's like, well, fuck you guys. I'll do my version of E.T. then. And to me, he did a better he did a better job than E.T. At least in my opinion. It's a better film than E.T. Because this, I got into the love story, and I love Jeff Bridges and Karen Allen. I think they're both good actors. I think they worked very well together. I think Jeff Bridges, how he acted humanoid form, but it's an alien trying to mimic a human and trying to learn and trying to gather what he's supposed to do and not do. And Karen Allen, to me, is one of the sweetest actresses. Anytime I look at her on screen, she always seems so sweet. Ever since I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then this film, just a big Karen Allen fan. That's one of the reasons I like Ghost in the Machine and other films, because I really like Karen Allen. But yeah, Starman has a beautiful score. I would say it's one of my favorite love story films. It's up there with Ghost and others. It's a great love story. And it showed that John Carpenter can do more than just horror and action. He could do a film like this and succeed very well. And then number 11 is Vampires. John Carpenter's Vampires. It would be in my top 5 vampire films, along with Fright Night, From Dusk Till Dawn, Lost Boys. Yeah, it would be up there. I I do think maybe if it had a bigger budget, maybe a little bit more oomph to the action sequences, especially in the finale. It seemed like the finale, I would like to have it be bigger or grander of a scale, maybe more intense or more to the battle between them and the vampires, a bit more cat and mouse, a little bit more mayhem, maybe a little bit more destruction. I don't know if that's because of budget or that's just John Carpenter needed a little bit more help with maybe add a bit more style to that bit. I don't know. But James Woods, I love. He stole the show as a guy who's just a trash talks everybody. The Padre he's with, what, you got some wood there? You got some mahogany? Or trash talking the vampires, and just James Woods, one of my favorite actors, and the fact that he got to be the star in this and the hero in a horror film and gets the kid vampire ass and trash talk his way, he steals the movie. I mean, the other actors do fine. I like the guy who plays the Padre. Thomas Ian Griffith as the villain, he's fine. I would deal with him, he's fine. The score works well. The movie has this horror western vibe to it that works. When I had good pace, I didn't find the film boring. You get some nice TMB effects, like when James Woods' team gets killed, the one guy that gets split in half. That was pretty cool. Like I said, I wish there was a bit more oomph to the action sequences, because I think that's where the film kind of falters, where the action could have been a bit more to them. Like I said, a bit more style, a bit more, I don't know, bigger or grander. I don't know how to put it. But other than that, it was cool to see John Carpenter take his hat into the ring of vampire movies, and I thought he did a good job. So, with that, just to recap, my top 11 favorite John Carpenter films: number 1, The Thing; number 2, Big Trouble in Little China; number 3, Assault on Precinct 13; number 4, They Live; number 5, Escape from New York; number 6, In the Mouth of Madness; number 7, Escape from LA; number 8, The Fog; number 9, Prince of Darkness; number 10, Starman; number 11, Vampires. Be like, where's Halloween? I like Halloween. I reviewed Halloween when I reviewed all the Halloween films, but I like these films more. I like Halloween. I like these films more. Sue me. But that's just the way it is. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.